What's going on, people? Welcome back to Nick J. Francis' channel once again. Yes, we just lost to Aston Villa 1-0. Second in the table, busy schedule ahead of us, and another ugly performance. The second half was good. The first half was a shambles. Obviously, if we had Tomiyasu starting, if he wasn't injured, Zinchenko wouldn't have been starting. Zinchenko, I thought, was really poor today. The second half, we put ourselves about, and they scored a goal in the 7th minute that was it was poor. I'm not going to lie. We made a few defensive mistakes and they went 1-0 up. They were very good first half, good defensive line. And we looked like we lacked a lot of confidence. You're seeing Saliba passing the ball away. We're seeing Saka look a little bit shaky. Martinelli was really scrappy. Erdegaard and Rice were trying, but we just looked really shaky. We looked like we'd bought into the narrative that, you know what, we can't go to Aston Villa and win a game of football. We need to be a lot braver. At the end of the day, against the traditional big six, we've beat Man City this season, we beat Man United this season, we've drawn against Spurs, we've drawn against Chelsea. We should be really confident going into these types of games. You know, every season, it would be typical of us to be able to go into a season and beat a Liverpool and a Man City who we normally can't beat, and then go to a Brighton or at Aston Villa and lose to those people. We have to be picking up these crucial points. And for me, it's the performance, it's the attitude of the players. Yes, we didn't have Arteta on the touchline, which in itself was madness and stupid that he should have been there. But we have to be a lot braver, a lot braver. We seem to be lacking a lot of IQ. We have a solid game plan, and anything outside of that game plan, we're not really able to implement. In a final third, we looked rushed, we looked nervous, we looked shaky. There was a controversial goal at the end. Ultimately, I think the VAR got it right. I don't think it was a goal. I do think actually the ref today was pretty consistent and pretty fair. I think there's a couple of disagreements that I have with the way that he refed the game, but I think overall, communicating with the players, the yellow cards, I think the stuff was pretty fair, and it became a little bit of a bitty, feisty, aggressive game, which I don't mind. And then going into the second half, we were much better, much better. And I'm not going to say we deserved a goal, because I don't believe in deserve in football. You either score a goal or you don't. But that was something for us to build on. That was a good platform for us to build on in the second half. And we had a couple of chances there to get ourselves amongst the goals. But we need to be braver. We're getting, when we cut the ball out in the midfield, turned over play and started to get on the counter attack, we looked like we just didn't have any ideas. Okay, we're going to roll it wide to Saka. If he can cut in and shoot, he can cut in and shoot. But other than that, there was nothing else there. Martin Erdegaard playing in this deeper number 8 role, I'm not a fan of it at all. He lacks the physicality of a Xhaka, a Douglas Luiz, Declan Rice, a Thomas Partey, any of these people that we'd see as traditional number 8s. He doesn't really have the physicality of them. He gets bullied off the ball too easy. And in a congested midfield against Aston Villa, I'm not a fan of it at all. He should be on the final third, playing in the final ball. He should be the close to a final action player as possible, playing in the final ball, breaking the lines of his passing. That's where he needs to be for me. The number 8 thing for me, it just doesn't work. So many times we're hitting the ball wide to Martinelli. He looks up, he's got Jesus in the middle, Saka on the far side, and nobody in the midfield. And that's where Erdegaard needs to go. As we progress the play, he needs to be on the left when the ball's on the left, and on the right when the ball's on the right. And he's not. He plays completely on the right-hand side with Saka and Ben White, and they have that little trio, but nobody on the left. And Kai Havertz doesn't play that same type of football to create a triangle with Martinelli, Zinchenko, Havertz. They don't have that chemistry, and that's not the kind of football that they play. Defensively, I think, I don't want to make anyone a scapegoat for the game. The team fought really well. Not really well, but they fought well. They tried, they put everything into it, and just couldn't find that goal today. But Zinchenko defensively, I don't know if we just have to move this guy into the midfield and not play him at fullback, because up against a player like Leon Bailey and then up against a player like Moussa Diaby, he's not good enough. He's not quick enough. He's not strong enough. Hasn't really got any of the defensive attributes at all. Maybe he's a shout to sit in that number 8 role, and somebody else, obviously I know that we're lacking a Jurriën Timber, we're lacking a Tomiyasu, but the defensive side of his game today was really poor, more poor than usual in my opinion. And that was clearly the weak side. A lot of their attacks were coming down that side of the pitch, and he just didn't really seem to have the answers for it. Kai Havertz, again, what can we say about Kai Havertz? He's putting himself into challenges, he's trying to be aggressive, he's working on the counter attack, but the final ball just isn't quite there. Lots of passes, overhit, underhit, the composure wasn't there. And it was a really scrappy performance from us. And we that is always going to benefit our opponents. We seem to only really be able to win games when the football is nice and clean. And if we come up against someone like a Villa, like a Newcastle, who are going to make the game ugly and scrappy, then we're really going to struggle. I think is lack of a bit of a football IQ. And what I mean by that, when I say lack of a football IQ, is just that when the game gets when people find themselves in a position where they don't normally expect themselves to be, they can't think their way through. A lot of the players we have are too one dimensional, and we need someone who can just take a little bit of initiative. Take a little bit of initiative and think of something different. Like I said before, we've got a really solid plan A, but other than that, it just falls apart. But listen, Aston Villa at home are an extremely good side. They're only them and Liverpool have 100% records at home this season, and we've got to play Liverpool in this Christmas period as well. So it's going to be a really, really difficult one. But we've got to pick up points there, even if we grind out draws. The goal early on, Aston Villa are a good team. Don't get me wrong, but they scored in the 7th minute, and then they didn't really score. They didn't score or really, have many clean cut chances for the rest of the game. We gave as good as we got. I think that they probably were better than us on the day, but not by a lot. It was fine margins today, very, very fine margins. And so we should be going to these games and being confident, getting on the ball, playing our football. We can't play like this against at Anfield against Liverpool. We're going to get carved to pieces. We have to be a lot more confident. We need a lot better IQ, but we have to remember we do have several key players out injured as well. No Thomas Partey, no Tomiyasu, no Jurriën Timber. That's going to affect anyone. And for some reason, every other club that has injuries is able to say, listen, we've got key injuries. And for us, we're never able to make that excuse. But we will keep battling away. We will keep battling away. And these types of really difficult away games, we need to at least pick up a point at the very, very minimum, grind out a point, even if it's ugly, and then take that point into the next game. But disappointing today, really disappointing. You could see Arteta was really unhappy with the quality of the performance. There's a lack of consistency. We really didn't start until about maybe half an hour into the game, and then we started growing into the game. But yeah, we've got to take this one on the head and roll on to the next game. It's going to be a really busy period. We've got to have some protection for Saka. Reece Nelson comes on 92nd minute. Not really a lot of time for him to really do anything, to be fair. Trossard comes off the bench. He looks cold, doesn't look great. Again, another final action player we're hoping can clutch us a goal. The passes are a bit wayward and lazy and, lack of concentration maybe. I don't know. Question marks over David Raya for the goal. I'm not sure if he can do a hell of a lot better there. But for me, I think Zinchenko was just really poor, flying into challenges. You're up against fast wingers. Don't get tight. Don't get too tight. Don't fly into a challenge. Don't commit. Once they roll you, he hasn't got the recovery pace to get back. I could sit here all day and go on about negatives, but ultimately we just got to take this one on the chin and move on. And that's all I've got time for today. Peace.